Whether in a house or an apartment, a conventional key is essential to unlock the cylinder and thus open the front door. But with the advancement of smart home technology and digitalization, this is no longer really up to date. No problem, because the new Lock Pro from SwitchBot promises not only super easy installation without changing the lock cylinder, but also several unlocking methods such as via PIN code, fingerprint, or even with a smartphone. In my opinion, extremely promising, but what can we really expect from this new digital lock? What does it offer in practice, and is it worth the investment, or should you stay away from this device? I'd say we'll find out together in today's video. For this reason, let's jump right in. If you haven't done so yet, quickly subscribe to this channel and activate the bell so you won't miss any future videos. You can find the current prices for this device to support my channel down in the video description. Thank you so much for your support, and now, let's get started after the intro. Unlocking the front door without a key, but simply via a code, fingerprint, or smartphone. That's exactly what the new SwitchBot Lock Pro promises. A compact, digital, and smart door lock that can be retrofitted by anyone without much installation effort. What else this device has to offer, and whether it really delivers on its promises in practice, we'll now take a detailed look at. But I'd say, let's start with a quick look at what's included. When it comes to what's included, there are basically three different options. First, there's the standalone version of the Lock Pro, which allows us to unlock it via Bluetooth with the smartphone. Option number 2 is the combination with the SwitchBot Hub Mini, which creates a Wi-Fi connection between the lock and our home network. This allows us to integrate it into our smart home system, for example with Alexa or Google Home. And option number 3. In this case, a fingerprint reader is added, which serves as an external unit, allowing us to unlock the door without a smartphone, simply via fingerprint or code. This option is, of course, the most expensive, but in my opinion, it's also the most recommendable, as it offers the most functionality that we can fully use in practice. The really important thing beforehand is to ensure whether the new Lock Pro is actually compatible with our door lock or not. In this regard, I find it extremely practical that the manufacturer's website provides a compatibility check, where we can see whether the device is compatible with our door lock or not. This is done using a well-illustrated questionnaire. I'll also link this compatibility check below in the video description. Step by step, we're asked about the characteristics of our lock, for example, whether it involves a key or a doorknob, what the lock cylinder looks like, and even the distance measurements. Once we've filled out the questionnaire, we immediately get feedback on whether the Lock Pro is compatible with our door lock or not. If the lock is compatible, we can start with the installation right away. Regarding the installation of the Lock Pro, I have to say that the whole process is much easier in practice than with the other conventional digital door locks and takes less time because, as mentioned earlier, the entire lock cylinder doesn't need to be replaced. Instead, the lock is simply attached over the key or knob. Nevertheless, the whole process still takes around 20 to 30 minutes in practice, as you first need to familiarize yourself with the dozens of small parts. To keep the video concise, I'll skip the detailed installation steps. However, if you're interested in me making a separate video where I explain step by step how to install and set up the lock, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Overall though, I must say that the installation went very smoothly. I didn't encounter any issues or complications that made the installation process difficult. After installation and setup, the lock was ready to use right away. Now it's time to take a look at the Lock Pro in action. I suggest we start by examining its exterior. From the outside, the new Lock Pro, made from a simple black plastic casing, gives off a very minimalistic impression in my opinion. In addition, the device is very well made. The caps are consistently even, with no leftover plastic from the manufacturing process, no sharp edges or anything like that. So, in this regard, it's really high quality. Weighing 446 grams, as you can see, the device is very lightweight overall. However, due to its functionality and design, since it attaches directly to the key, it does have a certain size. In my opinion, this isn't really a problem, though for some, it might be an eyesore to have a large black box stuck to the inside of the door. This is definitely a matter of personal taste. everyone has to decide for themselves. The most important part is on the back, where you can see the cutout for the key. The advantage of the Lock Pro, as mentioned earlier, is that it can be mounted onto any existing lock cylinder and key because it simply fits over the key in practice. The cutout, as you can see, is designed large enough to easily fit any key shape and size. Additionally, it's spring-loaded, so we don't need to worry about the length of the key either. On the other side, we find a large, easy-to-grip rotary knob, which allows me to continue locking and unlocking the door manually. Also quite practical, in the middle, there's an integrated button, making it possible to unlock the door electronically with a simple press. This means it's especially convenient, for example, at night when I want to lock the door. Instead of having to turn the knob endlessly, I could do it with just the press of a button. The motor inside has a speed of 21.5 revolutions per minute, which I believe is perfectly adequate in practice. However, it does take a few seconds to open the door if it was fully locked beforehand. In terms of performance, the manufacturer states that it delivers up to 19 kgf, which is roughly 1.86 Newton meters. At first glance, that might not seem like a lot, but in practice, it's more than sufficient to operate light to medium locks easily. For locks that are really difficult to turn, I would be cautious, as the device would likely reach its limits. Where the device doesn't reach its limits, however, is in terms of unlocking options. In this respect, it's very versatile. First of all, we can still use the regular key from the outside and unlock the door as usual. The electric lock simply rotates along with it. The second option, as mentioned before, is the smart home integration, for example, with Alexa, Google Home, or the SwitchBot app. This worked very reliably for me in practice, where the lock can be unlocked or locked via Bluetooth from nearby or over Wi-Fi through the hub. The current status, whether open or closed, is always displayed in real time in the app. Additionally, the device uses a small magnetic sensor to indicate whether the door is currently open or closed. We also receive real-time notifications directly on our smartphone. The most important thing, however, is that the device is correctly calibrated to our door lock. After installation, we need to carry out an initial calibration. In my case, I performed 2 full calibrations, and after that, I didn't experience any issues with the lock's operation. Additionally, the lock has an emergency unlocking feature which tries to open or move the lock with extra force in case of an emergency. In this situation, it's essential to perform a recalibration afterward. This is meant exclusively for emergencies when the lock won't open properly, for example, if it gets stuck. In my test, I didn't need to use the emergency unlocking feature even once. Instead, I primarily used this control panel. With a total of 12 large rubberized buttons and a fingerprint sensor on the bottom, this panel, in my opinion, offers the easiest way to unlock the door quickly and efficiently. The wireless connection set up between the lock and the Hub Mini also worked smoothly and was completed in no time. After connecting with the input panel, we can easily add, manage, rename, or delete several passwords, up to 100 fingerprints, and even NFC cards in the SwitchBot app. I really like the design and functionality of the app. It's simple, intuitive, and easy to use. In practice, we can scan multiple fingerprints for each family member, or easily delete them if they haven't been behaving. You can also assign individual PIN codes to everyone, manage them, and review the logs afterward. So I can see who opened and closed the door and when. The practical implementation of the control panel is also impressive. The buttons are large enough, rubberized, and have a nice, tactile response, and feature green backlighting for input in the dark. This makes it quick and easy to unlock the door without any issues in practice, as well as using the NFC card for unlocking. However, where I was initially a bit skeptical was with the fingerprint sensor. After a while and testing it with various fingers, I can say that the fingerprint sensor works very reliably. The recognition rate is very high, and it takes less than a second for the fingerprint to be recognized and the door to unlock. If the fingerprint isn't recognized in practice, it's most likely because it wasn't scanned properly in the first place. In the app, as mentioned earlier, you can add up to 100 different fingerprints, which I think is more than sufficient. You can also rename, manage, and delete them to maintain a good overview. Personally, I was really impressed with the fingerprint sensor because it's the quickest and most effective way to unlock the door. I don't need to enter a long PIN code, nor do I need to carry a card. I always have my finger with me, so I can unlock the door in just a second. Finally, let's get to the most important question, the battery life. How long does the lock actually last in practice, and what kind of batteries are used? For that, we should take a look at the front. Here, under a black magnetic cover, is the battery compartment. The device, as you can see, has a slot that holds 4 AA batteries. This means there's no rechargeable battery, such as via USB Type-C. However, I find this particularly practical because when the batteries run out, I can simply replace them and the device is immediately ready to use again. SwitchBot states that with these 4 AA batteries, the lock lasts up to 270 days if it's open 10 times a day. From my experience, I've been using the device actively for 2 weeks, and I've opened the lock far more than 10 times a day. The battery level can easily be checked in the app, and after these 2 active weeks, mine is still at 92%. Depending on how often the lock is used daily, battery life can vary significantly. If you only use the lock around 10 times per day, I find the 270-day battery life to be quite realistic and more than sufficient in my opinion. So far so good. Now we come to the final verdict. Overall, I can honestly say that I'm more than impressed with the Lock Pro from SwitchBot. Not only because it's such an incredibly innovative device that turns my regular lock into a smart one, but also because it works so well in practice. With this compact gadget, I can lock or unlock my door remotely, open it with a PIN code, fingerprint, or even an NFC card. So, from my side, I can give a clear recommendation to anyone who wants to make their home lock smarter without a big installation effort. As mentioned earlier, you can find the current prices for this device and support my channel by checking the video description below. Thank you so much for your support. What do you think of this smart lock? Feel free to share your opinion in the comments below. I look forward to your feedback. And if you enjoyed the video, show it by giving it a big thumbs up to help us boost it. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss any future videos. With that, I'll say goodbye, stay healthy, and see you next time. Bye!